Dear Americans, this July 4th, dream of insurrection against corporate rule. Occupy Wall Street. In mid-July, Counterculture magazine Adbusters follows its tweet with a call to action. Occupy Wall Street, September 17th. Bring tent. Anonymous throws its support behind Occupy, and the movement's momentum takes off via social media. Citizens travel from across the country to meet up with activists in New York as Mayor Michael Bloomberg prepares for a protest. 2,000 protesters descend on Lower Manhattan. The New York City Police Department blocks Wall Street, and the protesters move to Zuccotti Park, where a culture of consensus takes root. Protesters camp for the night and then for the week. Little does anyone know, the occupation is just beginning. Protesters receive scant media coverage during the first week, but a few cans of pepper spray, an army of citizen journalists, and close to 1,000 arrests are about to change everything.
We saw in the video you being sort of surrounded and just sprayed in the face.
Police test boundaries and pile hundreds into paddy wagons, and the world begins to watch.
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Obviously, I've heard of it. I've seen it on television.
New Occupy camps form around the world. Everyone gets fed, and libraries flourish. People want to express themselves, says Bloomberg, and as long as they obey the laws, we allow them to. On October 15th, the so-called Day of Rage, impassioned citizens march in more than 80 cities around the world. Protests in Rome turn violent and dominate headlines everywhere. Back in New York, peaceful Citibank customers are arrested after closing their accounts.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Journalist Caitlin Curran is fired for holding a sign. A pepper sprayer is disciplined, and one percenters post messages of solidarity. Meanwhile, pressure mounts for city officials to control protests. Dressed in riot gear and armed with tear gas and rubber bullets, police raid Occupy Oakland before dawn on October 25th. Headlines blast news about Scott Olson, an Iraq war vet injured by police. His name trends across Twitter. Days later, Oakland protesters strike back with a general strike. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, allegations of sexual abuse in camps surface, prompting Zuccotti Park protesters to create a women-only tent. 10 days later, it's Eviction Day in New York City. Credentialed journalists are refused press privileges, severely limiting eviction coverage.
I'm filming. I have DCPD press passes. Let's go. Relax.
Occupations in other cities around the world are evicted. On November 17th, mobilized by crushed camps and torn tents, protesters around the globe turn out for two-month anniversary celebrations. More than 200 are arrested in New York, including journalists. Feels like Turkmenistan, not USA, tweets Nick Kristof. But not even he was prepared for what happened next. Not everyone, however, empathizes.
Go get a job right after you take a bath.
With temperatures dropping, protesters find other ways to occupy. Occupy our homes. Occupy the primaries. Occupy Congress. Occupy the SEC. Meanwhile, Occupy's income inequality message goes mainstream. "2012 opens with one of Occupy's most violent encounters. New arrests top 400 in Oakland. On March 17th, protesters stream back into Zuccotti Park, celebrating the 6-month anniversary of the Occupy movement. After night falls, however, police declare the park closed. "You want to get arrested?" asks Bloomberg. "We'll accommodate you." March 24th, Occupy participants march to Union Square, declaring, "Let freedom spring." 7 months of protests, millions of tweets, 7,000 arrests, more than 100 U.S. cities. Occupy Wall Street.